1.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2019.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offense.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosun.
Buhari to address joint National Assembly sitting on Thursday. Ghana's elections, vote counting begins. Biden picks ex-general as defense secretary. Federal government announces reduction in fuel price to 162.44 per litre. Pogba unhappy, wants to leave Manchester United, says agent. Welcome to Celebration Television News Desk. I'm Nicholas Akosile Walter. Please stay with us as we'll bring you details of our news after this short break. Welcome back and thanks for joining us once more. Now the news in details. President Muhammadu Buhari will on Thursday address a joint session of the National Assembly on efforts being made by his regime to address the security challenges across the country. The president's personal assistant on social media, Loretta Onochie, disclosed this in a message she posted on her Twitter handle. Recall that the House of Representatives had invited the president to appear on the floor of the parliament over the rising spate of insecurity in the country. The Senate had also, in a separate resolution, asked the president to sack his service chiefs. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, said the president had agreed to address Nigerians through the federal lawmakers on the security challenges confronting the nation. Gbajabiamila disclosed this in an interview with State House correspondents after he led leaders of the House of Representatives to a meeting with Buhari at the presidential villa, Abuja. Gbajabiamila said the invitation was extended to the president at the meeting, but with no specific date attached in respect for him and his tight schedule. Moving forward quickly, Reps tackle People's Democratic Party caucus over call for Buhari's impeachment. The House of Representatives has faulted the call by the People's Democratic Party caucus on Nigerians to ask the National Assembly to impeach President Muhammadu Buhari. The House said the call had an ulterior motive, especially as Buhari was billed to appear before the lawmakers soon to explain the rising spate of insecurity in the country. Leader of the PDP caucus, Mr. Kingsley Chinda, had earlier called on Nigerians to compel their representatives in the National Assembly to immediately commence impeachment proceedings against the president for his gross incompetence and persistent and continuous breach of Section 14, subsection 2B in the 1999 Constitution. Chinda had also called on members of the Federal Executive Council to invoke the provision of Section 144, subsection 1 of the Constitution by declaring that Buhari was incapable of discharging the functions of the office of President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Chinda, while reacting to the recent killings of 43 rice farmers in Zambamari area of Borno State, had said the reactions from the presidency and the military to such killings highlight a certain crassness and lame duck attitude that has for the past 5 years come to define the Buhari presidency. The lawmaker has said it was disheartening to the caucus that the president failed to lead Nigerians from the front as he promised. However, the chairman, House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Mr. Benjamin Kalu, in reaction to Chinda, dismissed the call as an opinion of a member of the opposition. In another development quickly, Fresh End SARS protest. Campaigners adamant, and Buhari talks tough and deploys soldiers and corps. Less than 2 months after a suspension of a nationwide End SARS protest against police brutality, the organizers and activists have ignored threats by the government and security agencies by organizing fresh protests in some parts of the country. However, soldiers and policemen were deployed in some of the venues to disrupt the protest on Monday, especially in Lagos. A leading member of the End SARS movement, Raphael Adebayo, told the government to prepare for more protests by the coalition because the demands of Nigerians had not been met. The activists said the deployment of policemen and soldiers to prevent the protests from holding in Lagos would not discourage the campaigners. Another End SARS campaigner, Aisha Yusufu, lampooned the president for acting like a dictator, noting that he had failed to protect Nigerians and should be more concerned with that. She also knocked Buhari for not addressing the nation against the backdrop of the killing of over 78 rice farmers by insurgents in Borno State. The activist called for a medical evaluation of the president, stressing that he was not acting like a democratic leader. On whether the coalition planned to protest or not, Yusufu insisted that every Nigerian has the right to protest peacefully, arguing that the police had no authority to prevent peaceful protests. Coming from around Africa, on Ghana's election, vote counting begins. Voting in Ghana's popular election came to an end. The poll is seen as a close fight between President Nana Akufo-Addo and his longtime rival John Mahama, vying to lead the country long viewed a beacon of stability in a troubled region. Various polling stations saw hundreds of voters lined up to pick a president among 12 candidates and members of parliament for 275 constituencies. The election officials began tallying the votes and are running against the 24-hour time frame they gave to announce the presidential winner. A total of 38,000 polling stations were set up to be used by the country's 17 million voters. The country's Electoral Commission had revised the voter registry ahead of polls to remove suspected foreigners who would have voted illegally. The opposition, led by Mahama Party, later claimed some of eligible voters were scrapped off the list. The EC later denied this. A November survey by the University of Ghana put Akufo-Addo ahead with 51.7% of support, while Ghanaian pollster Ben Evsin estimated the incumbent would garner 52.6%. And still, coming from around Africa, NGOs protest outside French Parliament over Egypt's Sisi visit. Up in arms over the Egyptian president's state visit to France, around 20 protesters gathered outside the Paris National Assembly shouting down with dictatorship. The demonstration outside the parliament painted a very different picture to earlier in the day when France welcomed President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi with a cavalry parade through Paris. Before the 3-day visit, rights group accused France in indulging President al-Sisi's brutal repressions of any form of dissent. But French President Emmanuel Macron refrained from direct criticism of former Army General Sisi, who actually has cracked down on supporters of ousted Islamist President Mohamed Morsi, as well as on leftists and liberals. Macron told a joint press conference with Sisi that he would not condition the sale of weapons to Egypt and trade ties on human rights, as he did not want to weaken Cairo's ability to counter the region. Macron said that he thinks it is more effective to have a policy of dialogue than a policy of boycott, which would reduce the effectiveness of one of the partners in the fight against terrorism and for regional stability. He also added that to force the issue of human rights will be both ineffective on the subject of human rights and counterproductive in the fight against terrorism. We'll bring you updates from the United States of America. Don't go anywhere, please.
Yourself in your most holy faith, praying. Parada gazoko, ite kwate parikatuyas. When we pray, we activate our angels.
Pray until something happens.
Katoya, ile brakatoy akapola. When you speak in tongues, you are printing money. You are activating your financial life.
Operation Jabez 2020 with Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman. 29th and 30th December 2020. Happening live at the International Worship Center of Omega Fire Ministries headquarters, kilometer 132 Benino, Kenya, Abuja Expressway, Auchi, Edo State, Nigeria. 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. daily. For inquiries, please call. Prepare.
Yourself in your most holy faith, praying. Parada gazoko, ite kwate parikatuyas. When we pray, we activate our angels.
Pray until something happens.
Katoya, ile brakatoya, akapola. When you speak in tongues, you are printing money. You are activating your financial life.
Operation Jabez 2020 with Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman. 29th and 30th December 2020. Happening live at Omega Fire Ministries headquarters, kilometer 132 Benino, Kenya, Abuja Expressway, Auchi, Edo State, Nigeria. 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. daily. For inquiries, please call. Prepare.
You're welcome back, and thanks for joining us once more. Now, updates from United States of America. Biden picks ex-generals as the U.S. President-elect Joe Biden has chosen retired General Lloyd Austin as his defense secretary. If confirmed by the Senate, General Austin, age 67, will become American to lead the Pentagon. General Austin, who led U.S. Central Command during the Obama administration, would need a congressional waiver as it is less than 7 years since he retired. Mr. Biden's reported decision comes 2 weeks after he announced other senior members of his national security team. Mr. Biden and General Austin have so far made no public comments on the issue. Earlier reports suggested that the Democratic president-elect would nominate veteran Pentagon official Michelle Flowney for the job. She would have been the first woman to hold the position. Mr. Biden defeated Republican President Donald Trump in the November 3rd election and is due to be inaugurated on the 20th of January, 2021. Mr. Trump continues to refuse to accept defeat in the election, alleging without evidence there has been widespread fraud. Politico first reported about Mr. Biden's decision to appoint General Austin as Defense Secretary, citing 3 people familiar with the situation. He said General Austin viewed as a long-shot candidate, but that in recent days he had emerged as a top-tier contender and a safe choice. He said General Austin's emergence as a potential choice came amid growing calls from national civil rights organizations and Democratic Asian, Black and Latino caucuses to ensure that Mr. Biden nominated minorities and women to senior cabinet posts. More updates from the United Kingdom. UK vaccination program getting underway. The first people in the United Kingdom are set to receive what has been dubbed V-Day as a mass vaccination program begins. About 70 hospital hubs across the UK are gearing up to give the Pfizer BioNTech jab to over 80s and some health and care staff. The program aims to protect the most vulnerable and return life to normal. Grandfather of 9, Dr. Haris Shukla, 87, said he was delighted to be doing his bit by getting the jab today. The UK will be the first country in the world to start using the Pfizer vaccine after regulators approved its use. House Secretary Matt Hancock said there was now light at the end of the tunnel. Those administering the vaccine will be the first to receive jabs in Scotland, while health workers will be first in line Wales and Northern Ireland. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said today marks a huge step forward in the UK's fight against coronavirus. Ministers have warned that it could be Easter by the time restrictions are lifted in a significant way. More than 60,000 people in the UK have died after being infected with COVID-19, according to government figures. We'll quickly go to business news right away. Federal government announces reduction in fuel price to 162.44 naira per litre. The federal government has announced a reduction in the pump price of premium motor spirit, otherwise known as petrol, from 168 naira to 162.44 naira per litre with effect from December 14. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, disclosed this at the end of a meeting with Labour leaders. The product presently dispenses at 168 naira following the decision of Petroleum Product Marketing Company to increase the ex-depot price of petrol from 147 naira 67 kobo per litre to 155 naira 17 kobo per litre in November. The ex-depot price is the price at which the product is sold by the PPMC to marketers at the depots. Ngige explained that the price reduction was not meant to suspend the regulation because it did not affect the price of crude oil, but on areas where the NNPC, as the main importer, had agreed that it could cut loss. It would cut costs like freight and demurrage costs. The president of Nigerian Labour Congress, Mr. Ayuba Waba, collaborated the position of the minister, saying that the agreement was reached by both sides. And still on business news, federal government signs investments promotion agreement with Singapore and Morocco. The federal government announced that it had signed an investment promotion agreement with Singapore and Morocco. It also stated that it was in talks with the World Bank to develop a strategic plan for trade and investment in Nigeria. Permanent Secretary, Federal Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Nasir Sani Gwazo, disclosed this at the visual physical technical session of officials of the 12th meeting of the National Council on Industry, Trade and Investment in Abuja. Sani Gwazo said the FMITI was reviewing many policies to boost trade and investment in Nigeria, adding that it was partnering multilateral agencies to strategically reposition the sector. He noted that all these efforts, when finalized and fully operational, would facilitate the reinvigoration of the sector for growth and development. He said the ministry was also working to develop a coordinated approach to investment promotion within 25 states and the federal. We'll go on a short break right now. When we'll come back, we'll bring you sport news. Please stay with us.
Building up yourself in your most holy faith, praying. Barada gazoko, ite kwate parikatuyash. When we pray, we activate our angels.
Pray until something happens.
Katoya, ile brakatoya, akapola. When you speak in tongues, you are printing money. You are activating your financial life.
Operation Jabez 2020 with Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman. 29th and 30th December 2020. Happening live at the International Worship Center of Omega Fire Ministries headquarters, kilometer 132 Benino, Kenya, Abuja Expressway, Auchi, Edo State, Nigeria. 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. daily. For inquiries, please call. Prepare.
You're welcome, sports news. Pogba unhappy, wants to leave Manchester United, says agent. Paul Pogba is unhappy at Manchester United and should leave in the next transfer window, his agent Mino Raiola said in comments that may signal the exit of the one-time world's most expensive player. Raiola said the World Cup winning France midfielder needs a change of scene after struggling to establish himself under United manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He added that Pogba, who returned from his spell at Juventus for a then world record fee of £89 million in 2016, has no plans to extend his contract. Pogba eclipsed since the arrival of fellow attacking midfielder Bruno Fernandes has repeatedly spoken of his frustration at club level while on international duty. Pogba has also expressed his desire to play for Real Madrid one day, particularly if that means playing under the orders of Zinedine Zidane. The midfielder's superb strike in Saturday's 3-1 win over West Ham was his first goal in 8 Premier League appearances this season. Quickly, in another sports news, Real Madrid and Zidane brace for crucial Champions League game. Real Madrid values success in the Champions League above all else, but the 13-time champions head into Wednesday's game against Borussia with their qualification hopes hanging by a thread. Should they suffer a humiliating group stage exit, ending their remarkable run as the one team to ever avoid elimination at this phase, coach Zinedine Zidane's future will be at risk. A win for either side in the Spanish capital will guarantee them passage through to the last 16 from Group B. If Madrid draw and Shakhtar win or draw with Inter Milan in the other group match, the Spanish giants will be out. Reports in the Spanish capital have linked Madrid with former Tottenham coach Mauricio Pochettino, currently without a club, should have part ways with Zidane, while Real Madrid Castilla coach Raul Gonzalez, a prolific striker for the club in the past, has been touted as a plan B. The Frenchman's predecessor, Santiago Solari, was sacked after the humiliating last 16 exit against Ajax in the Champions League in 2019, paving the way for him to return just 10 months after his sudden departure. Last season's elimination at the same phase by Manchester City was mitigated by the team's strong domestic performance as they ground their way to the Spanish title, but another early failure in the Europe may prove to be the final straw for trigger-happy President Florentino Perez. And that has brought us to the end of the news on Celebration Television News Desk. In case you're just joining us, here's the news headlines recap. Buhari to address joint National Assembly sitting on Thursday. On Ghana elections, vote counting begins. Biden picks ex-general as defense secretary. Federal government announces reduction in fuel price to 162 naira 44 kobo per litre. And Pogba unhappy, wants to leave Manchester United, says agents. And quickly, we have photo of the day. What does that depict? It simply means that a king isn't born, a king is made. You can drop your comment on our social media platform on Facebook, Celebration TV, Instagram, My Celebration TV, Twitter at My Celebration TV, YouTube, Celebration TV. Always remember that the continuous transformation of our society is a collective responsibility of all. No matter the office you hold as a nation's president, a thought leader, an opinion molder, a character builder, a professional, or as a person pursuing passion, you have a duty to give your all to making the society a better place for us and the generations to come. Play your part and do it with all diligence. Thanks for staying with us on our news desk. I remain Nicholas Akosile Walter. Thank you. 1.7 trillion naira by the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offense.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amosun.